I want to go to Alex. He's in Tampa. You're on Free Talk Live. Alex, how are you listening tonight?
Those people.
Yeah. How are you listening to the show tonight, Alex?
Via TuneIn.
Okay, great. What's on your mind?
You guys were talking about basically feeding 70 billion people, and the topic was brought up, vertical growing, which would not be a viable solution to, it's too expensive, which would lead to higher food prices in the grocery store.
Just because it's expensive now doesn't mean it would be expensive in the future with development and refinement and competition.
It's much more expensive than dropping a seed in dirt and putting water on it. You have to buy all the equipment, then you have to feed it nutrient, which is liquid-based and all that.
So you're saying too expensive for vertical food, vertical growing?
Yeah, well, it's very expensive, which would lead to higher prices in the grocery store. And at the same time, what you would end up doing is pushing the little guy out, which are the people we want grow. We want the people that take the little farmer that puts more care into his product, and you would push him out and bring the major people in, which are going to push GMO and everything they could do to just make a profit on it because of the price.
I'm with you 100% on this one. I've had this conversation with Ian over and over again. He read himself an article on the interwebs about vertical farming, and he was certain that it's going to be the way of the future, and it may very well be. And the same time we finally get those flying cars that they promised us, maybe we'll have vertical farming. But I really don't think that vertical farming's where it's at. I think that likely that you'll be better off. You'll get better food produced closer to you. And people's dietary changes can really make a difference in this too. If we'd stop relying on cheap carbs, like wheats and corn and things like that, and go for stuff like leafy greens and animal products, then I think we'd be better off.
Yeah, or we'll just have Chon replicators. You just get.
I have no idea what that is.
I don't really either, Mark. But
isn't it an Oriental man?
No. The idea is Chon being carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen.
That's sort everything on the planet.
You just take that and shovel it into a food replicator.
It would be really interesting if we could get this, these three different different food products that we could then shove into these little machines that would create anything you wanted to eat and it would taste like it, like they had on Star Trek with the food replicator. That'd be awesome. But until then, I think we're looking at I think the best way to do it is try to get food from your locally sourced from your farms nearby.
Well, really the only vertical growers you're going to see at this point in time are your very, very small local guys that have a very small stand at your local market. And it's becoming popular, but it is expensive because, it requires all kind of pumps, all kind of nutrient solutions, and the casing just to plant the growth. And if you're growing larger things like watermelon, tomatoes, plants that get to any kind of size, a vertical system is really, really going to take up a lot of space.
It's not going to make any sense at all.
At the same time, it'll save you space, but it still takes up quite a bit of space, and the price and the cost is just very, very high at this point.
Alex, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you. You might want to have your phone looked at. I don't know what's going on with it, but I appreciate the call.
I know it outrages you
tonight.
He brings up very good points, though, and
That's not a good point to say that it's too expensive. I mean, we all know that technology becomes cheaper over time with development and competition. So, I mean, that's like saying, well, we'll never have flat plasma and LCD TVs. The average person will never be able to afford that. Sorry, the price comes down. Things get more popular.
And like the horror stories about peak oil. Those are all based on a snapshot of right now, the technology we have and the current supply and demand situation. But that it changes every day, and as oil gets more expensive, then solar can jump in and
to develop new forms of energy and to tap into forms of energy we didn't know existed before. I think that a lot of this fear around so-called overpopulation comes from a lack mentality. And we've heard it mentioned in an earlier call here tonight, and that is the mentality that we're going to run out. And it's okay to be concerned about supply if you are actually appearing to run out of something. And that's, obviously some of the things that can start to really motivate motivate people to look into alternatives and to look into alternate sources and solutions and things like that. But the human ability to engineer and for ingenuity has really gotten us through some tough situations, and where we have found those new sources and those new supplies of food. And
this is one of the
energy.
reasons I don't get bent out of shape about GMO foods. I think we do need to have, we need to try new stuff in the area of food. I'm not frightened of frankenfood. I do have a real problem with pesticides and herbicides being sprayed on plants in an abundance, and those things running off into water supplies and killing off fish and plant life in the water.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.